Say not, why were the former days better than these? For it is not from wisdom that you ask this. Ecclesiastes 7 verse 10. Hey fam bam, it's me, just Londa. Have you subscribed? Have you joined the fam? Bam, bam, bam. Join the madness, join the fun. It's me, just Londa. Can we talk that talk?
Go ahead. I'm an OG stylist. I shampoo until it squeaks. Squeaky clean. I'm an old school braider. Of course, all the braided hair is included in all my styles.
I'm old school and I still do wet sets.
I'm a licensed nail tech. Of course, I do old school and new school designs.
I'm a hairstylist. Of course, I know how to modify.
I'm an OG hairstylist. Of course, I neutralize hair after a go.
OG stylist. Of course, I use neck strips and properly drape my clients for services.
Can I ask y'all a question? Why y'all want old school hairstylists back so bad?
Because I'm tired of going to y'all booking sites, booking, y'all canceling the appointment, and the hair be trash. That's why we want the old school stylist back. I want the old school stylist back because they charge no more than $60 to do a style that lasts for 2 weeks. 2 to 3 weeks, if that. And then you go back and you sit in the chair and you know you're in good hands. Again, for less than $100. That's why we want the old school stylist back. We want the old school stylist back because they know what they're doing. They're not rough with you. They know how to manage 2 to 3 people at the same time and get you out in a decent hour. We want to go back to the old school stylists because we don't have to deal with them being on social media talking about you when you get in the chair, telling stories about this and so client. We don't have to worry about if they're going to be there when you set an appointment because they there before you doing somebody else's hair that they need to squeeze in at 6 a.m. They there. We don't have to worry about if they know when your appointment is because they got a book. They study their book. They know your appointment before you know the appointment. They know their clients. They know what they need. They know how to take care of them. And that's exactly why we want the old school stylist back. Y'all, when I tell y'all I ran into my old school stylist that used to do my hair in middle school, baby, when I tell you I'm so happy, I was so ready to take this out that's in my head and book an appointment right then. That's how good an old school stylist is. I don't want y'all to my hair no more. I'm good.
Okay, so I have a question. Are y'all looking for the old school hairdressers? Are y'all looking for the old school hairdressers? Now, I rarely go professionally and get my hair done because I can do my own hair. I can color it, I can do whatever. I can do my own hair. There's not, not as many as it used to be, but like my grand aunts, those were like the beauticians of the family. Like my aunts, no, but my grand aunts, yes, those were the beauticians of the family. So I had the privilege of growing up around of a salon, basically. I say this because I recently went to Ulta and got my hair washed and blow dried, and it cost me little to nothing. Now, I said blow dry because I know to have it bone straight, to have it straightened, that's going to cost a good penny. But because I knew I was going to be working out, that's going to be a waste of money. There was no need for her to bone straight my hair. Just blow dry it straight. Blow dry it straight. And she did a fantastic job. Now, I don't know if y'all recall, I thought I may not have talked about, I went to go get my hair done sometime last year, and I went to JC Penney's. Let me tell you something. That lady talked about my hair as she was doing my hair. She talked something disgusting about my natural zigzag. Is it zigzag? No, I don't think it's zigzag. See, the new thing is the 4C and 4 this and 4 that. But the way it was taught, it was either zigzagged or it was tightly coiled. So my coils, that's what it is. My coils, she had issues with. And she volunteered to do my hair now. Now, I told her what my hair would look like. I told her what I showed her days beforehand. And she was like, I can do it. I can do it. And she talked something awful about my hair because it was matted and stuff like that. I was going through my stages in life last year, you know what I'm saying, with the family and stuff. So my hair was the last thing that I really had cared about. And she didn't care about it either. She didn't care about my hair either. Oh my God. The headache that I had from that. Now, it's so funny because beauticians always say that they'll take you when your hair is natural, but they don't treat your hair like that. They treat it like a problem. And that's a problem for me because now your tip will suffer. If my hair is suffering, your tip will suffer. Now, I'm not going to say I'm not a good tipper. The way you perform is the way I tip. So if I leave here with a headache, your tip will be giving you a headache too. That was just a little sidebar. But let's get into these old school hairdressers.
I'm an old school stylist. Of course you're going to get shampooed when you come in for your appointment.
Sidebar. I had to ask those things. I was like, hey, so are y'all going to wash my hair with this service? Isn't it extra fee? Well, yeah.
All right, baby, come on, baby. I'm an old school stylist. Of course I'm licensed and work in a regular salon. State board can inspect an apartment, silly.
Oh, the shade.
I'm an old school stylist. Of course you're going to get your ends trimmed when I see you need it.
No, ma'am. Do not trim my ends unless I say so. I cannot stand that. Don't trim my ends unless I say so. And that's another reason why I only go to myself.
I'm an old school stylist. Of course I wear salon professional clothing every day, so people take me serious and know that I don't play about my career.
That's true. Facts.
I'm an old school stylist. Of course the salon has a landline phone that you can call and book an appointment with me. I'm an old school stylist. Of course I clean up at the end of my day. If you stay ready, you ain't gotta get ready.
Hello. I'm saying.
I'm an old school stylist. Of course I'll tell you no if it's not healthy for your hair. You'll never ruin my reputation.
You know what? That is so true because a lot of people just want lace front wigs and wonder why their edges are not edging anymore. Now, I get it. Some people, like myself, don't have edges. Okay, let me not say that because then I really won't have edges, but they'll have sparse edges. But you can tell that some people edges has been ripped off because of that glue. Sometimes your hair need a break.
I'm an old school stylist. Of course I spoil my clients because I know a spoiled client is a loyal client.
Hello.
I'm an old school stylist. Of course I don't charge a deposit. I double book anyway. I'm an old school stylist. Of course I use all salon professional products. That's what you pay me for.
Ask y'all a question. Why y'all want old school hairstylists back so bad? Them old school hairstylists, let me tell you something. The Marcells that y'all be wishing that they knew how to use and use again, they were burning your hair. Just think about it.
You put too much oil, grease on that child's hair and you burned it clean off because you didn't know how to work it. I see you. I see you.
All the ladies used to use those French rolls, the old school hairstyles. They were using stiff spray, spritz, and heat. Their hair was breaking off. Literally, you get to the salon at 10 a.m.
No, because back then, that's when a lot of people had hair, and you would see people with hair. Nowadays, you really don't see people hair at all. Either it's really bald or it's under a wig, a hat. I call them hats sometimes. And don't get me wrong, because I love wearing a good wig. All right. You know what I'm saying? I love wearing a good wig. So I'm not calling the kettle black. I'm just saying sometimes, give your hair a little break.
There's 8 other people there waiting to get their hair done too. You're not leaving there until maybe 6 o'clock, 5 o'clock, maybe. No. And then when they're washing your hair, you feel like they about to take your head off of your shoulder. I feel like a piece of my scalp is always just resting underneath their fingernail. Gossiping in there, talking about somebody's baby girls. The ones that I go to, oh baby, they wash hair. And I don't gotta deal with none of that. They actually know what they're doing.
Where should we start?
Get them, girl.
With the lies.
Yes.
Start here. This is a Marcel iron. This does not burn your hair. Your lack of knowledge on how to use it is what burns the hair.
Yep.
I can use this on a white girl's hair, a mixed person's hair. I can use this on 4C hair, 3A hair. I can use this on any hair type because I control the temperature with the stove. When I'm ready to come off the stove, I take it out. I click it. I look. I've done it long enough that I know this is too hot, this is too cool. Guess what? I put this on my hair. It's not going to do anything. I put it in the stove. That's when the expertise begins. Now, let's go to the spritz and pump it up and all that. Do you know why we could do those styles on occasion? Because every 6 weeks when women were coming to get a relaxer, we would trim and condition that hair, deep condition. And guess what? It wasn't extra. That was part of the price.
That was part of
We didn't do shit.
Let me tell you, JCPenney, they charged me for my deep conditioner. I couldn't tell no difference. I couldn't tell a difference in it.
A la carte. We did shit for the health of the hair. We didn't brag that we were charging people $100, $200, $300 for some basic bullshit because you put a name on it. We weren't charging people to detangle. We would sit there, we'd shampoo your hair because you don't wash hair. You wash towels.
Now, funny that she mentioned about the tingling, because when I went to Alton, I asked the lady because I had braids in my hair. I had a style. I don't recall what kind of style I had, but I had a style and I had some braids left over and I was taking them out. And I was like, well, yeah, I said, it might need some detangling, but I had just came from the gym. Now, one thing about me in the gym, I'm going to get me a good sweat. So she will be a tad bit moist. She'll be a tad bit moist. So because she is a tad bit moist, she is slippery when wet. When she is a tad bit moist, she is slippery when wet. So it made it easy for the stylist to untangle my hair. However, I didn't get charged because she was like, you helped. It really wasn't detangled. She's like, that's not a detangle. I was like, oh, okay. But they charge you to detangle your hair. Keep going, Mama Bear.
How many times a month do you get a silk press?
So, I don't use a curling iron. It's too much heat. I use a round brush.
Now, what kind of magical round brush? I mean, your hair must be super fine now to be big.
Well, no, it's not. It
do you
takes
do
a
this?
while. A boar bristle, or but it takes a lot of heat. But it's just too much heat to do that and do.
Girl, you have us shook on the internets. We're like, how she always got to say, you and Queen Latifah are going neck and neck with the silk press, honey. You're giving it to us. Okay, so it's a round brush, girls. We've got to get into that.
$156. I make $156 an hour. Let me explain. So today I had a client that came in and got a quick weave. Her appointment was at 1:30. She was walking out the door at 2:37. I did her quick weave start to finish. Shampoo, condition, blow dry, braid down, spandex, dome cap, sew down, glue of curly hair, fluff, frame shape, out the door. $156 in an hour and 7 minutes. I need you to understand that when it comes to this beauty industry, you are not paying me for the hour of service. You're paying me for the 17 years that it took me to learn how to do that service in an hour. So I'm seeing all of these conversations about the lash tech girlies having to go back to their 9-to-5s because they ain't making no money, and the new hairstylist girlies having to go back because they ain't making no money. Let me explain something to you. There is plenty of money in the beauty industry, but you have to make yourself irreplaceable. Y'all be having these women in these salons for hours and days, and they don't have time for that, especially when you got career professional mommies and wives as clients. They not going. Y'all stop shampooing hair. Y'all stop trimming ends. Those are things that they can't do at home because it is nothing like when an old school stylist scrub that scalp, baby. They want that. And they want their hair to be healthy underneath their quick weaves, their lace fronts, and their wigs. And because y'all are not doing the regular care, they don't want to go to y'all no more. That's why y'all are having to go back to y'all 9-to-5s. Lash tech girlies, rumor on the street is y'all are charging them the same price for a fill as a full set. And they're having to come every 2 weeks to get a fill so they don't have to pay for a full set. And they're in the chair an hour at a time, just for lashes. Not hair and nails, just lashes. You're offering a luxury service, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I want you to realize that we're in an economy where people are cutting back their luxuries. Hair is a necessity because for a lot of women, their crown is their glory. And when y'all's lashes, not all, but some, are taking out their natural lash, it is not productive to having natural lashes, natural hair, right? So people are opting to do DIY lash kits at home. They're opting for strips. They're opting for wigs because y'all are not taking care of these ladies' hair and lashes. Y'all are not respecting their time, and you're not making yourself irreplaceable. I'm just saying.
Shampoo hair. So we would shampoo the hair. Oh, it's tangled. Guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to put a deep conditioner on it, and I'm going to sit you under the dryer so that the cuticles can open up and the conditioner can go into the cuticles to loosen up the hair so that I can then detangle it. I'm not detangling your hair just sitting there dry and charging you an extra $125 to detangle your fucking hair. Moms can't afford that for their little girls. They can't afford $400 for one service.
Where is she?
So we didn't brag about what we charged. We bragged about being booked. And you're sitting there in the salon all day, probably because you're fucking late. Because old school stylists, we opening at 6. Because we're leaving early on Saturday.
Hello.
We closing early so we can get the fuck home.
Yep.
Because we don't want to be in there all day either.
Not
so when
on
you're
Saturday.
fucking late or you change the fucking style that you want, or suddenly you need a relaxer, guess what? We did it. We didn't sit here and charge you a inconvenience fee. We took care of the fucking clients. Gossiping, y'all will sit there in a chair talking about the fucking stylist behind you that's doing your fucking hair. Y'all running out on the fucking bill. That's why y'all need deposits. Yeah, they want old school style.
Ooh, y'all running out on the tab. Now, like I said, I did tell Junk about that lady in JC Penney's, but look, she did not treat my hair with care. You hear me? I am sorry. She did not. She didn't.
Alice. Because they know how to treat people. We were so strict in school, our teacher would not allow us to wear bracelets. Because if you're shampooing somebody's hair, they don't want to hear that clanking in their fucking ear. But you telling me that we broke off hair with a Marcel iron?
Mm-mm.
Do you even know you don't start at the end? You work the hair. If you ain't hearing this clicking, they don't know what the fuck they doing. Because the way...
Let me tell you something. It is the flick or the rest doing that thing there. You hear me? I almost burnt my ear off one day.
Your curl hair is you put it on and you click. You work the hair into the iron. And that's from class of 94. Ooh, Ultima Hot Tech.
I'm telling you, it is the flick of the wrist. You hear me? The flick of the... I was like the arthritis of it all.
I go to an old school hairstylist. Of course, I didn't have to shampoo my hair before I came. I go to an old school hairstylist. Of course, I didn't book this appointment on a website that cussed me out and then made me pay a $50 deposit. I go to an old school hairstylist. Of course, she detangled my hair with love and care instead of ripping it from my scalp. I go to an old school hairstylist. Of course, nobody was in the chair when I got there on time for my appointment. I go to an old school hairstylist. Of course, we had great conversation instead of her talking on the phone with AirPods the entire appointment. I go to an old school hairstylist. Of course, she trimmed my hair in sections instead of cutting my hair directly across my back. I go to an old school hairstylist. Of course, she knows how to use Marcel's. I go to an old school hairstylist. Of course, she didn't have a grass wall in her shop. I go to an old school hairstylist. Of course, we didn't gossip about other hairstylists while I was in the chair.
Look at that bounce. Bounce to the ounce.
It's giving Black Marilyn Monroe.
Yes. Yes, it is, love. I love her.
Who would that be?
black
Dorothy
hair.
Dandridge?
Yes. That looks lovely.
Y'all want old school stylists back, and we want old school clients back. If we had old school clients who showed up to appointments that they booked, we wouldn't even charge deposits. Like, it really could be so simple. If y'all become old school clients again, we could become old school hairstylists again. I literally have like 12 clients on my roster who don't even know what my booking site looks like. Why? Because they're old school clients. So they're literally like 50 and up. And if they text me telling me they want to come get their hair did on Wednesday at 12, I know for a fact.
Okay.
They coming Wednesday at 12. So I don't make them pay me a deposit because I know I'm going to see you. You're not going to waste my time. You're going to be on time. Like, there are so many factors into what has changed the whole entire beauty industry. And it's like, the clients are not taking accountability for their actions. Even in my last viral video, everybody was making excuses on why they do no call, no shows. But now y'all still...
Wait, y'all doing no call, no shows? No, you know you don't do that on your job. You know you don't do that on your job. Why are you gonna do that to your hairdresser? Okay.
surprised as to why we charge deposits. Y'all doing no call, no shows and mad that we charging deposits?
You work your job and you gonna call if you're late. Why wouldn't you give a courtesy call to your stylist? I would think you would do that. You do have the decency. You would do that.
I'm an old school stylist. Of course I wash hair.
I'm an old school hairstylist. Of course I have a bad back.
I'm an old school hairstylist, and yes, I require deposits too, but only for new clients.
I'm an old school hairstylist. Of course you're going to know where my salon is located before your appointment.
Oh.
I'm an old school hairstylist. Of course I still do relaxers.
Okay. Wait. So relaxers are not being done? Well, yeah. I can't talk because I don't have a relaxer in my hair, and I hadn't had a relaxer since 15.
I'm an old school hairstylist. Of course I always have on a hat. I'm too busy doing y'all hair to worry about my own. I'm an old school hairstylist. Of course I know how to do short hair.
She says happy.
I'm an old school hairstylist. I get my clients in and out. You don't want to be in here all day? Neither do I.
I know that's right. So y'all sitting in the salon all day? Y'all sitting in the salon all day long? Okay. Let me see. I don't want to.
I need a hairstylist that's 40 and up. One that's been in the game. One that was at the Bronner Brothers shows in the early 2000s.
Y'all remember the Bronner Brothers?
I need a hairstylist. that still use the Marcel curling irons, the clampers when you throw right in the stove.
The Bottoman Brothers. Oh my gosh. Those shows. Oh my gosh. I used to love going and being in those shows. I used to have the most fun. I used to see the nicest hairstyles, fashion. Like it was like a fashion show, but for hair, and competitions and things. It was lovely back then. I didn't think y'all stopped. So y'all stopped doing it. So those shows stopped. Like that stuff stopped. Like that was a whole culture type thing. At least to my knowledge.
I'm an old school hairstylist because I show up to work. I'm an old school hairstylist because I still use Marcel's. I'm an old school hairstylist because I use hair color from the licensed hair store, not Walmart. I'm an old school hairstylist because I still shampoo hair.
That's funny.
I'm an old school hairstylist because I sell my clients retail, not send them to the hood hair store.
Yeah.
Go ahead and make a documentary called Surviving Black Beauticians because
no, they need to make a series on new age hairstylists because back in the day, 90s hairstylists would never. Back in the day, hairstylists was licensed and a lot of them went to church and they built a lot of their clientele from the women in the black community.
Yep.
Because don't let your work be trash because that's the end of your reputation, all right? All the
Word of
stylists
mouth.
had their own salons and they had their licenses posted up at the door. They
Yup.
had an assistant that would greet you at the door and book your appointments, and they would also have an assistant that was on wash and hair duty. And they would slay no less than 5 women at the same time. 3 would be under the dryer, 1 would be getting her hair washed, and another 1 would be in the hot seat. And the only problem we had with our black beauticians back in the day was that they were scissor happy. Taking off inches when you said it was a trim. And they had fines if you canceled appointments and if you came late. If there was a hair Olympics, 90s level hairstylists would win gold every time.
Yep. So are we looking for the old school hairstylist? Because I do. I'm looking. I think Ulta will be pretty good. The one girl that I go to, I really like her. It's great conversation. I tipped her very well. Because she did her thing. Like the way she cared for my hair, washed it, gave it a good scratching because it did itch for some reason. But I think it was because I was in the gym prior to me getting my hair done. But always searching for those old school hairstylists. Like I want that. Rest in peace, my sister-in-law was one. You know what I'm saying? She was the only person that did my hair, and now I'm not going to be on the hunt because I will be going to Ulta to this one lady. But yeah, old school hairstylists, they were a force to be reckoned with. And all you see is everyone wears wigs. Now I get it, it's easy and stuff like that, but even if you have to add like some tracks in your hair, let that stuff breathe, gal. So comment down below, tell me what you think. Are y'all in search for old school hairstylists or all these new age hairstylists? You know, is that the thing? Is that what y'all going to, push on? You washing your hair before you get your hair done. You have your hair clean before you get your hair done. You staying in there way too long. You're not getting the proper service that you really want. You're getting all these add-ons because of what's supposed to be part of everything. So let me know, comment down. Because I also heard, sidebar, before I hang this up, I also saw where this girl, she wasn't one of us, but when she got her hair done and left the salon with wet hair because they were going to charge her to blow dry her hair. You stop it, I say. That's some foolishness. You gonna send that child out in the world with wet hair after you colored and everything. You're not gonna blow dry it to make sure the color came out right. Stop what I say. So on that note, fam bam, thanks for watching, rating, subscribing, all that good jazz to make me feel so warm and fuzzy inside. Peace and peace. Bye. And if you missed any of my Talk That Talks, please click here. And always, you can subscribe here.